Hey, this is Jamey from Stonemaier Games, and today I'm going to do something a little different as I've been doing recently. Today, instead of talking about my favorite games in a certain mechanical category, I'm going to talk about the favorite games of Stonemaier Games' shareholders. These are investors who have invested in Stonemaier Games, and they're all, I think almost pretty much all of them are gamers. A few of them are maybe new to gaming, but most of them are gamers. Most of them came to Stonemaier Games as investors because they like what we do. They like our games. They like how we treat people, or how we try to treat people. We don't always succeed at that, but we always try to treat people well. That's always the mission, and how we try to bring joy to tabletops worldwide. And so I thought it'd be interesting. I've done videos on, I have a couple coworkers. I have Alex, Joe, and Alan, and Morton, and a couple other people I work with, including Shannon at Panda Games. Sorry, not Sharon, Shannon at Panda. And I've done top 10 lists of their favorite games just to show you some of the people who have a large amount of influence on Stonemaier Games, but our shareholders have a ton of influence over Stonemaier Games. And so I thought it'd be interesting to ask our shareholders for their favorite games in a few different categories, so you can see the gaming tastes of our shareholders. Just because I thought it might be interesting. It's a different type of list to cover, and I don't exactly even know how I will talk about these games, but I'm going to share some of these games with you, and maybe I'll share my favorite game in each of these categories, so you can get a little bit of Jamey in with this shareholder discussion. So the first question I asked shareholders, I'm looking at my other monitor over here, sorry if that's distracting. My first question was, what is your favorite Stonemaier game? This list is not all about Stonemaier Games, but I wanted to start out with one question just to see what shareholders said here. And it was interesting to see, because there are only 4 games selected. And actually, I should mention that only 8 shareholders actually responded to this survey. It's not their responsibility to respond to surveys like this, but this is about a third of the shareholders representing here. So 8 shareholders responded, and they didn't answer every question. But of this question, all 8 did reply. 1 said viticulture with Tuscany, 1 said wingspan, and then 3 each said scythe and tapestry. And that surprised me a little bit. I have some visuals here. Let's see. Here's the complete rulebook for scythe, the nice hardcover rulebook. So here's scythe, and here is the expansion for tapestry, because that's easier to hold up than the full tapestry box. But yeah, that was kind of neat for me to hear, because Scythe has been received way better than Tapestry in terms of like Board Game Geek rankings and sales and things like that. Tapestry has sold well, but not nearly as well as Scythe. And so it was kind of neat to see that the tie for the top answer from shareholders was Tapestry with Scythe. That was neat for me as a designer to see, and very interesting to see. Maybe there's some insight there. But of these 4 games, I guess I normally don't pick my favorite games of Stonemaier Games, but my favorite of these 4 games, that's tough. I'm the most biased person in the world to answer this question, because I love Wingspan. Wingspan is one of my favorite comfort games, and so if I just want to play a comfort game, I love playing Wingspan, but I love Tapestry for the variety of it. And Scythe, I love getting Scythe at the table. Viticulture is really easy to teach, and I love Tuscany. But I also love Tapestry. I don't know. This is a category that I don't think I can pick my favorite. I won't do that, but I will do it for the other games, the other categories here. So the next category is, what is your favorite game from the last year or so? Your favorite recently released game. And the selections in this category were Calico, Marvel Champions the card game, Planet Unknown, which isn't out yet, and this person said Beyond the Sun as a game that is available, Welcome to New Las Vegas, Flourish, Endangered, and Dune Imperium. And if you follow my channel, you know which of those is my favorite, and that is Dune Imperium. I truly love Dune Imperium. I haven't played Endangered, haven't played Flourished. I have played Beyond the Sun once and really enjoyed it. I want to get it back to the table. I haven't played Welcome to New... I have played Welcome to New Las Vegas once, but I think I greatly prefer the original Welcome to. They made Welcome to New Las Vegas very complex, or much more complex, I think, than Welcome to. So I think I prefer the original. I played Marvel Champions once. I love the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but it isn't exactly my flavor of cooperative game. But I did enjoy playing as Iron Man in the one time I played it. And Calico I thought was fine. I prefer the Whatnot cabinet. I prefer Canvas. I prefer Sagrada Azul. I'm looking at my shelf of games in that category. But I enjoyed the aesthetic of it. The idea of putting cats on blankets is always appealing to me. But yeah, in that category, favorite fairly recent game, Dune Imperium is my pick. Shareholders said, next question, I asked them, what is your favorite older game? I didn't define what older meant, but they could interpret that as they wish. Favorite older game. One of them said Lorenzo Il Magnifico, which I think is actually fairly recent. Pandemic, Small World or Factory Fun, Power Grid. One person, I think I know who this person is, answered a few different ways. Dawn of the Zeds, Puerto Rico, or Titan. Bonanza, which I just happened to play 2 days ago. I played it many times, but I played it recently in addition to that. Clans of Caledonia and Castles of Mad King Ludwig. And for me, this is a very close call between Clans of Caledonia and Castles of Mad King Ludwig. I would say maybe right now it would be Clans, but I love Castles of Mad King Ludwig, and I'm sure that will jump back into my top 10 list as soon as I get the deluxe version of the game from the Kickstarter project, because I really do love Castles. It's super easy to teach and play. It's such a rewarding game, and all the little things. I mean, there's very little about it that really bothered me at all. I was perfectly happy with the original game, but I'm even more excited about the deluxe game with the nice trays and the new art. I think that'll really bring it to life on the table. So for now, I'm going to say Clans of Caledonia because I really, really do enjoy that game. It's a very satisfying game where you're pulling things off your player mat. Kind of like Tapestry, Terra Mystica, Scythe. You're pulling things off your player mat to improve your income, and it's just a very satisfying and rewarding game as well, with a really great economic aspect to it. So I'll say Clans of Caledonia for now, but it probably will be Castles of Mad King Ludwig in the future. That's my favorite older game of the shareholder picks of older games. Next category for shareholders was, what is your favorite campaign game? And I'll name the ones they responded, and I'll let you know the top 2 picks, because there were 2 that jumped out here. Gloomhaven, Pandemic Legacy Season 1, Pandemic Legacy Season 2, Charterstone, and The Crew. And the top pick from shareholders was Pandemic Legacy Season 1. I think that has just made a huge impact on people in the gaming community. I really enjoyed it, but I actually have the 2. I think I preferred Season 2. And of the 3, I preferred Season 0. I have a video where I talk about all 3. But Season 0, I think, was my favorite because of the mechanism of failing forward, which I really, really like in cooperative campaign games in general, especially cooperative campaign games. Gloomhaven was number 2 on this spot. Charterstone, one of our games, was up there too. And The Crew, someone mentioned The Crew. I don't really think of this as a campaign game because they're not carrying anything over from game to game, whether it's permanent, like a legacy game, or just persistent, which I think is inherent to a campaign game. But a shareholder answered it, and I respect the answer. I can see why they would put it at least related to this category. So yeah, what will be my... And I just actually finished my second campaign of Charterstone and had a really, really good time with it. Even though it is my design, it is a game that we publish. I wanted to introduce it to some other friends and really did have a lot of fun with it. So from this list, I'd probably go with Charterstone. But if we're counting The Crew as a campaign game, I really do enjoy The Crew quite a bit too. This is one where the ramping... complexity of it and the ramping difficulty of it, I think, is really, really clever in The Crew, because you're playing this very simple mission. It's a trick-taking game. You're playing a very simple mission, and then the next mission gets a little harder, and then gets a little harder, up scaling through 50 different missions, which I think is incredible. So yeah, I'll say kind of The Crew, kind of Charterstone, and a Pandemic Legacy Season 0 were on this list. That might be up there as well. I asked shareholders, what is their favorite long game, a game that's over 2 hours? And the answers were Barrage, which I haven't played, Gloomhaven and Terraforming Mars, A Feast for Odin. 2 people answered A Feast for Odin. Actually, 2 people answered Terraforming Mars, 2 people answered Gloomhaven, and Scythe. So the top shareholder picks were ties between Gloomhaven, Terraforming Mars, and A Feast for Odin. I appreciate Scythe being on there. I think I'm going to go with A Feast for Odin. I really, really love A Feast for Odin. I also really enjoy Terraforming Mars, and I found myself recently, if you've watched this channel, I really, really enjoyed Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion. But if I'm going to spend 2+ hours on the game, I'm probably going to go with A Feast for Odin here. Or Scythe. I really do enjoy Scythe, obviously, as well. Yeah, I'll go for A Feast for Odin for favorite long game. Then I asked the opposite of that. What is your favorite short game, a game that's 30 minutes or less? And shareholders said Codenames and Telestrations, For Sale. For Sale was actually the top vote getter with two shareholders saying For Sale. Jaipur, King of Tokyo, Mondo or Number 9, Honorim or Tichu. I haven't played some of these games. I haven't played Honorim, I haven't played Tichu, I haven't played Mondo, I haven't played Number 9, played Jaipur once or twice. I thought it was fine. I really do enjoy For Sale as a filler game, and I really, really enjoy Telestrations as a party game. So I'll say both of those games for different reasons. But For Sale, I actually have Telestrations too, but I really enjoy For Sale as a quick little filler game. And Telestrations is one of my favorite games when I just want to laugh with people and not deal with a lot of rules and things like that. I love Telestrations at a party. I asked, what is your favorite game expansion? And the answers were Tuscany. Tuscany is the example that I have here. So here is Tuscany. I have Seven Wonders Leaders, Dominion Seaside. All these are great picks. I love the Leaders. I love how Leaders adds another round to the draft in Seven Wonders. So there's you're passing twice to the right and passing twice to the left. I like evening it out like that. I also love Seaside. Seaside in Dominion, if you recall, is the one that added cards that stay out in front of you for at least one turn, and sometimes longer than that, conditionally. Pandemic The Cure, which I have not played. Root, the Riverfolk expansion, which I have not played. And King of Tokyo Power Up, which I think I played once or twice, but it's been a long time. I really love Tuscany. But if I have to pick a non-Stonemaier game, it would be Seven Wonders Leaders. I really do enjoy the Seven Wonders Leaders expansion. With maybe the one exception that there's so many symbols on it. So many symbols that to play Leaders, you really need the guides that go along with it that explain what all the leaders do. So I love Leaders, but I either wish it came with more guides or included text on the cards to explain the icons. That way you don't need to refer to a reference guide. It makes it less language independent, but they're printing enough copies of Seven Wonders that I think they can make independent print runs for each printing or each language. That's my publisher tip there. If you're including an icon-heavy game, it's okay to include text on those cards to explain what those icons mean. All right, favorite. I have 3 questions left. Yeah, 3 questions left. What is your favorite tabletop game digital port? Only a few answers here because one person just did not want to answer. I guess maybe they don't like digital games. But the answers here were Spirit Island, Through the Ages, Titan, Pandemic, and Agricola. So these are versions of tabletop games that have tabletop digital port versions of them. And I have played none of these in digital form. I've played all of these except for Titan in tabletop form. So I can't really answer in terms of digital form. But from Spirit Island, Through the Ages, Pandemic, and Agricola, I think my favorite there, just to play in general, would be Agricola. I love Agricola. In fact, it came up recently when I was talking about ramping complexity in games, and Agricola, I would consider that not really a ramping game in terms of from game to game, it doesn't get any more complex. It scales up over the course of the game, but I would put it in the category of increasing action options because you start out with a few set actions, and then every round you add a new action to the board. I think that's a really clever mechanism. I also like the accumulation mechanism in Agricola, where if no one takes a certain action, you add more stuff to that action. Like you might add another sheep to that action, so it gets more lucrative for the next round. Yeah, and Agricola is one of the modern games that really got me back into the hobby, or got me into modern Euro games in particular. And so yeah, Agricola will be my pick on this list, although I haven't played the digital version of it. Second to last question is, what is your favorite video game? I was really curious about this because I haven't played many video games myself. I researched them a lot, but I haven't played them a lot. I wanted to get their thoughts on this. Some answers here. There's one called Bubble Bobble, which I haven't played. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, which I have studied very heavily for my open world cooperative game, but and I have played very limited. But most of my experience with that has been watching Let's Play videos and review videos about it. Myst, Civilization, Minecraft, someone else said Civilization, Stellaris, and the Diablo series. I have played a little bit of Myst way back in the day on very, very slow computers. Megan loves Myst and has played quite a bit of Myst on the computer. I played a little bit of Civilization for research for Tapestry when I was designing a Civ game. I haven't played Stellaris, and I haven't played Diablo. So my favorite here definitely has to be Zelda Breath of the Wild. Even though I never really got into the gameplay of it, it's definitely well beyond, as someone who doesn't play video games, the the controls were well beyond something that I could handle, especially having the controlling the camera, controlling what my character was doing. So the video game, I can't really speak to that, but I love all of the ideas in the video game. Just an abundance of amazing ideas, many of which will make their way into my open world cooperative, adventure game that I've been working on for a couple of years now. So yeah, that I'll say that is my favorite video game on this list. And then finally, the question was, what is my favorite? What is your favorite? I was asking this to shareholders. What is your favorite gaming podcast, channel, or blog? Someone did politely say that they enjoyed my YouTube channel, which was nice to hear from a shareholder. But the other picks were So Very Wrong About Games, a podcast that I tried recently. Actually, I saw this recommended on here, and I tried it and couldn't get into it. It wasn't my style of podcast. I appreciate the perspectives there, but yeah, I won't go into why I didn't like it, but not for me. Watch It Played. I love Watch It Played. I love learning games from Watch It Played, from Rodney at Watch It Played. Opinionated Gamers, which I think is fine. I subscribe to them and I read some of their reviews. One Stop Co-op Shop, which is fantastic, has been fantastic for me to listen to One Stop Co-op Shop as I've been learning a lot about cooperative games, both playing them and also listening to what reviewers think about cooperative games as I've been working on one of my own. That open world game that I mentioned before, and Man vs. Meeple. I enjoy Man vs. Meeple. I like their perspective on games, and yeah, it's neat to hear. They often talk about like the new hotness games, and it's neat to hear their thoughts on those games. I like also visiting older games too, so I hope they do a little bit more of that. But I understand that the new hotness games get more views and things like that. On this list, I guess for different reasons, I'll pick Watch It Played. Watch It Played is not a review channel. Rodney and his team talk about how to play games. They do rules videos, so I find that very useful. But I would say my favorite on this list is probably One Stop Co-op Shop. If you love cooperative games, if you enjoy cooperative games, if you're a designer who's designing cooperative games, it is a must listen to, and their archive is a must listen to. It's one of those where when I learned about it, I went back and listened to everything they've ever made because it is incredible. The content they make is incredible, and their format is great. I love the format of talking about the 5 most important things that they find in any game. I think that's a really helpful format to talk about because they'll talk about positive things, they'll talk about negative things, they'll talk about mixed things, but they focus on importance as their way of deciding what they're going to talk about for each game. And it's a fantastic podcast and a YouTube channel now, the One Stop Co-op Shop. Yeah. Those are my picks, or those aren't my picks. Those are the shareholder picks, and those are my picks from the shareholder picks. I'd love to hear your selections in these different categories, which we'll post in the description. You can also see it in the progress bar to see the different categories. Pick your favorites in any of these. You don't have to do all of them, but if you have a few, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. All right, thank you.